evening, and welcome, and hello to the Ohm Service Desert Island Discs episode. Is that alright?
Order, brother, will you?
Good say, Steve, BFG, if you don't know how I intro the beginning of the show, by now there's something wrong.
Yeah, a little tip. See, for next week, what to do is see your headphones. Just move them back.
Just move them out. You know what I'm going to do.
I was in my warm, happy place.
Yeah, and you've just pissed it now.
Good evening, chat. Hope you're all well. It's been a week. Do you know something? That week's gone really, really quickly.
That's it.
For some reason, hasn't it? I need to turn the volume up a little bit quiet.
It's just been crazy.
It has, hasn't it?
It's probably because I've had a week off.
So
the thing's shot past at light speed, yeah. But I must admit, I spent a wonderful afternoon with a young gentleman in a B&M. Very knowledgeable young chap.
We were all right, wasn't it? We sold some
killed
bits.
a couple of hours, didn't it?
Yeah, we sold some bits and pieces.
Scared the crap out of Kirsty. Big shout out to the lovely Kirsty as well.
Yes, definitely. Big shout out to the wonderful Kirsty.
Thank you for putting up with the old fart this afternoon. That is I.
Oh gosh, it was a good giggle though, wasn't it? I've got to admit.
Oh God, was it?
Was
it?
Don't mention farts.
Oh yeah, you're not too good, are you, Betty?
Well, I've got the SoulOhms the return. I've been a bit.
I like how I get the blame.
Well, it was your fault the last time everybody got it.
Well, you wanted tongues. You asked for tongues.
That wee bit expo. I might not be down the first day because I've got the tom tits and I can't move off the toilet. So I came down the following day, hugged everybody, and within 3 days, everybody was sitting in the loo going, "Oh God."
I still say that I'm patient zero for COVID.
What you want?
Honestly, I swear blind that I am, because you work it out. I go to Expo with the SoulOhms. I meet all these Chinese people. They go back to China. Next minute, COVID. I could be patient zero.
Oh, there you go. Never thought of that, actually.
Keep it quiet, son.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think quite a few of us who were at Expo, okay, having the SoulOhms, I really do think some of us actually caught it at Expo in October.
It wouldn't surprise me, because we was really poorly over Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, especially Jan. Jan was really just prior to Christmas in December, late end of December. Jan was really poorly.
Yeah. I think it was the start of January. I took it and I was, oh God, I thought I was dying, literally. For 3 days solid, I felt like shit. Pardon the pun.
Oh, blooming heck, Irish. By the way, most of my family call it the SoulOhms. No, they have no idea where it came from.
Oh, God.
How we doing, Zan? Yeah, so that's what's been kind of... I was going to say touch and go today. It was it wasn't even touch and cloth. It was going straight through. It was like a typhoon tea bag. So, yeah.
Oh,
so if please excuse me, guys, in chat. If you see me making a quick dash, left stage, then you know where I'm heading. And Jules, move everything out the way and put the toilet roll back in the fridge, please.
Oh boy!
And move the dog from behind the door.
There's no toilet paper. The dog will do.
Lick your bugger, lick. Right.
Are you going to say hello to chat, Stevie boy?
I think we ought to. Good evening, Gaily Bops. First in chat this evening, Buggles. Gav, good evening.
Yes, Bob.
Paul Denby, our winner from last week, and his package has turned up, so I'm pleased to see that. The wonderful Jenny Sin. If you didn't catch Three Men in a Vape last night, she was on with the rest of the Vaping Misfits, who you can catch on Sunday.
It was a good show that last night.
Timmy!
Timmy!
Levi, how you doing, dude? The ever gorgeous Jules Mama Bates is with us. Shane Gibson. Jay Jerry, how you doing? Let's Stevie, the Black Country Vapor.
Fist bump.
Oh, no Jasper, because he's at work. Oh. Big shout to Jasper and Uggles.
Tickles.
Alan, good evening.
Fist bump.
Bruce Young, how you doing? JP, another gentleman will be joining on Sunday over on Benny Vapes. Northern Union Vape Show. Mark and I will be there at 9 o'clock.
Is it 9 o'clock?
I'm sure it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. It's all right. I've had to write it down.
Mr. Richards, good evening, you lovely man. Stevie, Blazing Vape 75, how you doing, dude? Net Reality, Graham, dude. Paul Anderson, good evening.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
You keep on taking it, but... Oh!
What was that?
Our Vavavoom's in.
Buddy!
Hello! Evening, Lethal, how you doing, dude?
Hey,
Happy
Lethal!
birthday.
Fist bump!
Yeah, happy birthday.
Kentucky Bill.
Kentucky
Hello.
Bill. Yeah.
The legend that is Zan is with us.
He
Zan,
knows
how
the
you
way.
doing, dude? You know the way.
Oh,
It's your boy getting smooth transitions. Hiya, Terry. It's probably going to tell me off now. 808 Kevin K. Aloha, bro.
Hello.
Liz. Darling.
Uggles.
Snuggles.
Mingosaurus. Sorry.
If you're that low down, it probably did. Right. And I think we've got through everybody.
We haven't. Chris Doyle. Fist
Chris
bump.
Doyle's stuck in the back door yet again. Late, as usual.
Chris, I told you, dinner first before you sneak in the back door, dear. Right. I think that's... Oh, Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles.
Well, that's got to be Blazing Vapes. I should have guessed it's Kentucky. Oh, bless you, Liz. Darling, she does enjoy her snug.
Oh, yeah, we've got to have a snuggle now and again.
Ian, how you doing, dude? Oh, Amber. Yes,
Amber.
sorry, darling. Happy birthday.
He was singing Happy birthday to you.
With lots of
Happy
snuggles.
birthday to you. Happy snuggle.
Hey, dear
Amber, happy birthday
birthday
to you.
Auntie got a lovely voice.
Auntie.
Oh, well, I hope that goes down well with the unicorn cake, Amber. Because I know a certain bestie's been baking for Amber.
There you go.
Not only can she draw, Darren Robertson, no nude young man. Who let the cats onto the stream.
Yeah, but he was right.
He was. Oh, bless, she's full on grinning. So, if chat would like to just wish Amber a happy birthday, if you haven't, it would be well received. And I hope the little man enjoyed some of the unicorn cake as well, bless him.
Ooh.
Amber's son's such a cutie. He is.
Oh.
Oh, bless.
Oh.
Right, well, this evening, we're into the Desert Island Discs. It sort of follows on from the previous couple of weeks' discussions. We had Goth Night, which was a lot of favourite music. We had the books, lots of favourite books. So we decided this week is Desert Island Disc. What we are going to give you is 3 books, 3 albums, 3 films. Yeah? With this, we already have the Bible. We also have the complete works of Shakespeare. And just so that we don't run out of vape, we also have a small solar-powered electrical generator each.
Yeah, that's always handy.
That's always handy. Well, it's just in case we sort of crack through the books, the films, and the albums, because we can do the vape as well.
Well, that's it, yeah. Are we allowed a mobile phone?
Well, I suppose it saves cutting the hole in the coconut, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Irish 100%.
What's that?
The Bible, that's the toilet paper covered.
Oh, it's surprisingly absorbent, especially Genesis. Right.
I can make your bum with Phil Collins. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor scunner's got no hair. You're not going to get much coverage out of that.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
No. Right.
I'd rather have the gorilla playing the drums, to be honest.
Oh, manly. Yes.
Does it bother you when you get shit on your fur? No, come here then.
Well, the way you are at the minute, you might as well just have a roll of kitchen roll, because one sheet does plenty.
He's doing more than one sheet, I'll tell you.
I just need
a bum.
A bucket.
Oh, bucket. I thought you said a bum.
Don't need a bucket. Oh, he'd.
I'm envisioning if he's shooting the cat then. Right. So, I think I'm kicking off this one, aren't I?
Yeah, you might as well kick off. Yeah, what we're going for first?
Well, we'll go for the books first.
Books.
I mentioned this on last week's Night Watch, Terry Pratchett.
Mm-hmm.
This was the culmination of a story arc of a number of characters that really got under my skin. Because I know a Sam Vimes, I know a Nobby, I know a Sergeant Colon. You know,
don't mention colons.
And it's one of those books where I can. Dean, you git.
Dean, yeah, buddy.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be serious there, but Dean's just killed me. Right. That book I can read time and time again. It's funny, it's dark, it's moving, and it deals with a lot of things. When you get to our age, you start looking back on stuff, and even though it was crap, there's a certain amount of sentimentality towards it. You know what I mean? You're both looking blank here. Work with me, fellas. Work with me.
I can't work with you because I've never read it.
No, I meant you look back on times in your life, even though they were crap, there's actually a certain amount of affection for them.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I've got my 3 books, and my 3 books are sort of like, in that genre, it's not just the actual book, it's the time that I actually read them, what was going on in my life at that point in time as well. So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the whole genre of what we're going to be talking about tonight. From actually a film that you watch, it's not just the film, it was when and how, why, and it's same with the sort of like the music side of it. Music is probably the most powerfulest thing for memory recollection than anything myself, but yeah, books really do it for me.
Sorry, Stevie, did I?
I'm just saying that it's the memories that everything that this has conjured up. From, obviously it's the past, things in the past, the good things, the bad things. It's I mean, it got my little brain ticking over this morning, I must admit, trying to recollect things as to what to put in context for each category. But anyway, we dive out. Sorry, Stephen.
That's cool, because that is a large part of the book. Not so much the actual driving story, but the surrounding parts with the other characters. It's sort of them looking back on this really crap time, but there's a lot of affection for it. So that's my first book. My second is The World According to Garp by John Irving.
Never read it.
What a book.
I've heard of it. I've never actually read it.
They made it into a film with Robin Williams, and it was good. But the book is just superb. You start off with the most bizarre characters. Garp is the product of his mother deciding she was going to have a child and taking a gunnery sergeant who she only knew as T.S. Garp, and that's how Garp got his name. And she literally just leaps upon him while he's semi-comatose with brain damage following his plane being shot down. And thus Garp is born. And he has a very strange... It's a parody of a life.
Yeah.
And you go through the various adventures as he's growing up and his first love. And by the time you get to him being grown, again, it's a very character-driven book. And you end up being so emotionally involved that by the end of the book, there's quite a horrific car accident involving two young kids, Garp and his wife. His mother is assassinated, and it's all part of the plot. Throughout the book is this latter part of the book is a running theme of this deaf girl who was raped and her tongue was cut out. So she was already deaf, but they made her mute as well. And it sounds horrific, but for some reason, the comedy is so black. You just end up laughing. And the characters end up laughing. And it's almost like, well, Christ, it's this bad. What's going to get worse? You know, and it was more about the time, because I was introduced to this book by a lovely lady I met on a conservation holiday. And we stayed in touch afterwards, and she introduced me to this book, and it opened up my literary world so much, because prior to that I'd been mainly sci-fi and fantasy and stuff and horror, and to actually get into this sort of genre where it was black, it was bleak, it was funny, it was sad, it was bittersweet, and that led to Tom Sharp and various other authors. And my final book, mainly because if I need something to reach something high, The Stand by Stephen King.
Ooh.
It's a book I have read time and time and time again. It's
still pretty much Stephen King. He goes off on one in the middle of the book.
Yeah.
He just goes...
It's such great characters.
Oh, yeah, totally. But that's the only thing that I could never get with Stephen King. It's when he writes any book, it doesn't matter what it is, halfway through the book, it's like he gets bored.
Yeah, he goes off in a tandem.
And then just shoots off somewhere. And then by the time you've read that, you've eventually come back to the story. It's sort of like half the book you could just rip out and throw away. And you could, yeah, a lot of it. I always find that with Stephen King.
I kind of agree with Mark regarding Stephen King. I mean, God, I'm caught in pain. The likes of The Stand, with the everything that happened in Boulder, Colorado, a lot of that could have been just binned. It was just filling paper up as far as I was concerned. But don't get me wrong, the book as a whole was absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah,
totally. I mean, Stephen King he's up there with Clive Barker, as far as I'm concerned. But he does, and it doesn't matter what book you read, he does end up having this little middle section where, did we need all this? I think sometimes it just loses. I suppose, like in a film, it just loses that momentum. And then all of a sudden he comes back to it, and then you're back going.
Yeah, I mean, Dead Zone did to some extent. Thanks, Alan, for reminding me on that one. Dead Zone did. There was a lot of sort of dead spots in there for me. I mean, Alan suggested Salem's Lot and Firestarter as well. I thought Firestarter was
Yeah, Firestarter was good, and well, Salem's Lot, absolutely brilliant.
Now, I mean, if we're talking long-winded, Bill Richards threw in June. That is a windy book.
Great the whole book. Series.
Well, the whole series, Jesus.
We actually just finished watching the Children of June, the TV series today.
Isn't it good?
I've not watched it yet.
I love it.
It gets confusing.
It does, but the problem was they had to condense so much story. They did a better job with the original June because it's the Sci-Fi Channel's version, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on Amazon at the moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, they haven't got the original series of June that Sci-Fi did, which is a real shame because that is a brilliant adaptation. I mean, it's definitely more... Loved BFG as the crazy stalker lady in Misery. Irish. Right there, son.
Jules Mama Vapes has put, my books would be Lord of the Rings, yeah, that's a good book, Harry Potter, and lastly, Are You There, God? It's
Me, Margaret.
I've not heard that one.
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
I've only heard of it from Jules. She mentioned that this morning.
Oh, great. Graham's picked a good one, High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. That is a good book.
Jumpmeister, fist bump.
How to Get Off a Desert Island by Robinson Crusoe. Oh, bless. Junk, how you doing, dude? So, yeah. Oh, now somebody's just thrown up Rats by James Herbert. That was Alan.
Yeah. Rats is really good.
It's the best of the three.
I like The Cottage.
Yeah.
I've read Rats years ago.
I think I must have been in my teens when I read Rats.
Yeah, I think I was the same. To be honest.
Well played, Mama. I give up. Right. So, do you want to do the books, or shall I go on with the other?
No, we'll do all books.
Okay.
I'll go next.
So, excellent. Mark, what are yours?
Mine are totally weird compared to yours. Mine are more, I don't know, weird. Well, we're on a desert island, and I'm going to be on my Todd. So I thought my first book would be Ray Mears' Outdoor Survival.
That's a bit bloody practical.
Well, yeah, I thought,
trust the gaffer to be practical.
Yeah, it's so like, I'm going to have a book that I'm going to be able to survive.
But the thing is, I'm going to throw something in here before you go on a wee bit further. You don't need to be stranded on a desert island. Because apparently you can helicopter yourself off at any time you want.
That's true. You've got a point there. I'll have to give that a go.
He's going to lie down first.
Prints in the sand.
On a serious note, I actually have read quite a few Ray Mears books, and I actually generally enjoyed reading them. Not just because of obviously like the subject matter, but the actually stories, especially the stories behind them, where people have been, especially in the military side of it, have been stuck in certain places, and it's how they've got out and actually survived. I actually find that quite interesting. So that's one of them. My second one, another weird one, but it's the Beatles recording sessions. I mentioned this last week. It starts from 1962 all the way to 1970, and the best way of explaining it, it's literally a diary of every single day of what the Beatles was up to that day. And when I actually first got the book, I read it page to page, back and forwards, and I kept on reading it religiously. The first time straight through, but then the second time I did it on the actual day. So, like, today's the 30th, of July, I actually went to 30th of July and read that bit and what went off then, and I just really enjoyed it. So that's that one. Back to being kind of normal, I suppose. Clive Barker's Cold Heart Canyon.
As a surprise.
I can't help it. I would have said Cabal, and definitely, I mean, I could reel off a load of Clive Barkers that I would love to take, but obviously I'm only allowed to take 3. So yeah, Cold Heart Canyon for me. I just think the imagination that ran wild in Clive Barker's brain when he wrote that book, and I would love to see that on the cinema.
So I think some of Barker's books, I think, as you say, with the in-depth, the way he goes into the characters and the background and everything else, I don't think at times a film can do his books justice.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Even the likes of Hellraiser, Nightbreed, that kind of thing. There was a lot of stuff there, but there was a lot of stuff missing.
Oh yeah, hell of a lot.
Oh yeah.
But I suppose that's like every kind of film adaptation of a novel, isn't it? There's only so much they can condense.
I mean, Cold Heart Canyon, without going into too much detail, if they could actually bring that to the cinema now, especially with special effects, because of the mural that actually moved, which was hell, and people could walk into and all that. I think if they did it justice, obviously it'd have to be an 18 for starters, or 18 plus, especially with the naked ghosts and the ramping orgies and that lot that goes off in it. Oh yes, there's orgies in it. So honestly, I think that with the special effects they could do it justice, but for some reason I can't imagine it ever going out on film.
Well, that's just answered Paul Anderson's comment to the copy of Playboy. Bunny's just put her books would be autobiographies. Billy Connolly, Paul O'Grady, and Barry Sheen. Irish has put Ray Mears is king. Never trust a skinny survivalist, which is a good bit of advice, really. Chunk says we're all going to need outdoor survival guides after lockdown finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Richards said, "How do you know the Beatles did acid? Simple. They let Ringo sing."
Oh, bless him. What's my name? Ringo.
If it's
George and Ringo.
Timmy says, if it's a group stranding, then I'll pick the Cannibals Cookbook. Might as well make myself useful.
And yes, Bill Richards, I love a bit of ghost porn.
Oh, just wrong.
See, I kind of was going to lead in with my 3 books as Playboy, Fiesta, and Razzle, but it's yeah. I mean, my 3 books. I touched on one of them when we were talking about the books in the last show. It's The Magician by Raymond E. Feist. As I said, that this book was given to me by a friend when I was in hospital getting reconstruction surgery when I lost my ear, and I've enjoyed reading since I was a child, and this book just seemed to open up a whole new world to me. With the fantasy genre, it starts off as it's based around the story of a young orphan boy called Pug who grows up in the keep of Crydy and the world of Midkemia, and through certain trials and tribulations becomes a great magician. But he's actually transported to another world, and this is a hell of a thing to bloody say. It's called Suranoani. See, this is why this book I've read it so many times, because there's so many words in this, there's so many names that I could never ever get right, and it's always in the back of your head. I know that's not right, but I'm going to turn it into something else to make it easier for myself to read. And I did the same thing with Lord of the Rings, but we'll get on to that later on. And it's an absolutely fantastic book. There's so many stories within the main story, but it all comes together in the end. But it was the start of a series of books he did called the Rift War Saga. There was 3 books to that, and then after that, it carried on with a whole different series. I think it's about 4 or 5 different series of books, but they're all based on this world of Midkemia. And if you like your fantasy fiction, guys, it's a fantastic read. It really, really is. Second book I'm going to mention is The Keep by F. Paul Wilson. I don't know if maybe any of you guys yourself and Steve, Mark, or even you guys out in chat, the 1980s there was a movie came out based on the film. Now,
It rings a bell.
It was absolutely pants. The movie was bloody terrible. It starred Scott Glenn was in it. There was a few others. For the life of me, I can't remember the other actors that were in it. Basically, it starts off, there's the Nazis are occupying a castle in Romania, and basically they unleash this evil upon the world. But the Nazis bring in this elderly professor and his daughter to try and get to the bottom of where all this evil's coming from, kind of thing. And then this strange character turns up and basically defeats this evil entity. But again, this starts off a series of books called The Adversary Cycle, and I need to thank my father for getting me into these. Bless him. It's my father he always encouraged me to read, and it was one of these things where the likes of going back to the book Magician. Once I finished that, I handed that to my father, and we were always constantly handing books back and forward to one another. And it's always something dear to me that I know that I'm still reading books that my dad read. It always kind of touches the heartstrings, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, I mean, the Keep, that was followed by the Tomb, and there's various other ones. But there was also it went off on a kind of sideline with another series of books based on one of the characters called Repairman Jack. Now, when I was handed that book, I was like, Repairman Jack, this is going to be crap. It's going to be somebody sorting VCRs or in old TVs and radios. No, it wasn't. Repairman Jack was a fixer. He fixed things, but it was always in that kind of horror, sci-fi kind of genre. So yeah, so that was my second book, The Keep. Don't watch the film because it's absolutely bloody garbage, but the book was pretty good.
I actually really enjoyed it.
The film?
The film, yeah. Because I couldn't work out whether he was supposed to be an angel or what, but I really enjoyed it.
Rassalom or Molisar, as I think he was called in that, he was some evil entity. And obviously Glenn, or Glaken as it turned out his name was, they'd been fighting one another for centuries or millenniums, whatever the hell it is. But I think it was I have watched the film back a few times over the years, and I think, to be honest with you, it's 1980s.
Oh yeah,
special effects, isn't it? And
yeah,
like, that's pants.
But the
some saying that though, sometimes you can be forgiven for the 1980s special effects if the story's good.
I think. I mean, it was directed by Michael Mann. Would you believe? I think it was his second movie, and I think he kind of slated it himself because it was a bit of a box office flop. But we're getting a bit sidetracked here and going on to the film and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a good book, and the rest of the Adversary Cycles is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. A really good read. Last but not least, it has to be said, it's Lord of the Rings.
Good choice. Yeah, really good choice.
Again, this was a book that was introduced to me by my dad. He was always a Tolkien fan. Even when I was a kid, I can always remember him reading Tolkien. And when I got to a particular age, I said that I gave him The Magician to read, and as I say, books were passed backwards and forwards. And he handed me this old, crumpled, dog-eared, page-torn copy of Lord of the Rings, the full shebang, the 3 books in one. And he said, read that. I mean, Dad, I've picked it up before and I just can't get in it. It's too long-winded, he says. Bear with it, he says, and read it. And I did, and you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've been a big Tolkien fan ever since. Yeah. And I look. My dad and I both look forward to the movies coming out.
Oh God, yeah. Me and Jan did. Yeah, I mean, we're big Tolkien fans. And
the movies they must admit they did do it justice. Sorry, they threw the love story kind of thing in, but it's kind of like. But they did do the books justice, and yeah, I mean that's, so as I say, I've got to thank my father for basically pushing me into reading more, and also introducing me a vast realm of fantasy that is out there.
You know what? One thing that always shocked me, I forgot his name now. Steve's one he likes. What's his name?
Pratchett.
Pratchett. Hated Tolkien. I hated him with a passion.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons, ironically, it's one of the reasons that kind of put me off Pratchett because of that.
Right, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And you've got to think as well that Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, that it was written in World War One.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When he was in the trenches and stuff, and you think to yourself, how the hell can somebody come up with that kind of fantasy realm? Well,
yeah, but it wasn't just the story. It was the backstory as well. It was the language. He created a language and the maps, and he literally did create a world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's Irish, but I mean, Tom Bombadil. I mean, he was quite. It was kind of, it wasn't so much a lead character, but he did add to the story, and yeah, and he wasn't in the film, which it was kind of disappointing. And as Irish said again, yeah, they keep. I'm sure it was Ian McKellen that was in it. There you go. I mean, there was Ian McKellen was in The Keep, and then Ian McKellen played Gandalf, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Now Gailey's thrown her choices in, and it would be To Kill a Mockingbird, which is
good choice,
excellent choice, very topical at the minute as well. Cry the Beloved Country, and the Three Sisters Island trilogy. You big softy, you. The Three Sisters Island trilogy.
I've not heard that one.
Slush. He's romance all the way.
Oh, lovely.
Now, apparently, the book was a lot different to the film. I don't think I ever read Jaws.
No, I've never read Jaws, the film.
I did.
Was it hugely different to the film?
Yes and no. Cooper died in the end, but it was rewritten because of Richard Dreyfuss. So it was, but
I'd rather have seen Hooper die.
I love the. I'll get on to that. Not giving much away, am I?
Bill Richards says he read The Hobbit to Aidan when he was about 4. He loved it. I always thought The Hobbit was a much better kid's story.
It was, yes.
It was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a lot smaller as well.
Yeah.
As in book-wise. It's a whole lot smaller.
I mean,
and now, Irish is just... Sorry, Stevie.
Sorry, buddy.
No, go on.
Again, it's the likes of reading The Lord of the Rings. When you're reading some of the names and some of the places, that they visited and things like that, and obviously you couldn't pronounce them properly. And it wasn't till the movies came out and you went, "Oh, that's how you say that name."
Yeah.
Good evening, Lisbeth. Irish has just pointed out, I was going to say, but you two were carrying on. Pratchett hated any high fantasy, so anything that took itself really seriously, which Lord of the Rings does, really. Given his background, anything that was too regimented, that was too difficult for people just to enjoy, he wasn't a fan of. And don't get me wrong, he did love fantasy. I mean, that much is evident. But it was more his love of the language, the playing with the words, the puns. That's Pratchett.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's one of the things I love about him. You can read the same book 7 times. You will pick up 7 different things. It's just a gift that keeps on giving. So we've got Lisbeth. Pratchett was offered a chair in Supernatural Studies, but they couldn't get it off the ceiling. Like that one. The Twits and Danny the Champion of the World. Oh, what a great books. I loved Roald Dahl when I was growing up. I still remember Nan gave me a copy of James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, James and the Giant Peach. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Love that book. Absolutely love that to pieces. That was so like a child staple, that.
Oh, it's one of the few books I used to enjoy. And, at the end of primary school, you used to have a book that they read to you. And that's what introduced me to the Twits. And what I just remember that so vividly.
I think I missed out on a lot of things like that because obviously the Scottish school curriculum was different from English school curriculum. And I think I missed out on a lot of books, to be honest with you, when I was a kid. Don't get me wrong, we'd always get told, you know, if it was raining or something, you couldn't get out for playtime and things like that. Go and get a book from the library and you'd be going to get the book, you go,
yeah. I think reading me as a child, reading was a chore.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pleasure.
No.
I was too busy wanting to, you know, play in woods and play army and things like that. And
see, because I got shipped off to Shropshire a lot, and my other grandmas and my aunties, books were my friend, if you will. It was my escape. It was my little world. Because
my little friend.
My little friend.
Stop it. Lisbeth, I hope Portsmouth is treating you well.
Ooh, sunny Portsmouth. That's Plymouth.
Plymouth, sorry.
Plymouth.
It's what you get for speed reading. I do apologise, Lisbeth. I hope Plymouth is treating you well.
Specsavers open yet?
Don't, I'm getting old. Stevie says his favourite was Man in a High Castle, Sean Houston's Assassin, and Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot. Oh, God.
That book scared the willies out of me.
It wasn't so much the book. Can you remember the TV series with David Soul?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remember when the young boy, God, I can't remember his name now, get turned into the vampire and he's floating outside the window, scratched at the window? That still scares the shit out of me.
Wuss.
Let me in. Oh, God, if you don't get me in. Go away. Go away, bad vampire. Off.
Fabulous. Lisbeth's with the daughter. She hasn't seen her since Christmas. Excellent. Well, I hope you're having a fantastic time, darling.
I mean, there's Anne put a comment in. One thing I would change when I was younger would be to have the patience for a book. You just can't do them. I mean, there's a lot of people like that. I couldn't do it when I was I think before the age of 10. Picking a book up to me was totally alien.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the likes of the annuals you got at Christmas, totally different. I mean, you would speed read them, you would just flick through them.
Yeah, of course you would. I was more into, I know it sounds daft, I wasn't really into literature. I ended up reading more factual books. So you'd get them short snippets of information, and then you turn a page and you'd get another short snippet of information. You know, a bit like a Reader's Digest, encyclopedia type thing. I seem to have more patience with reading that. I think that's why I like my Beatles recording sessions, because it's just a snippet of information that you don't have to. Because even now, I have to. If I'm going to sit and read a book, I have to be careful, because after a while, the words just end up blurring together, and my eyes get heavy, and that could be middle of the day reading. Yeah. So I do struggle reading books anyway, but so I try and make that certain effort to read books.
Oh, good stuff. Now, I mean, this is what I love about Audacity, though, because even if you're dyslexic, I mean, Paul's just said he's dyslexic, reading's hard. If a book doesn't make him want to carry on, he'll stop. With Audacity and the rise of audiobooks, that's opened it up to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids.
Yeah.
My son's not a massive reader, but stick a Doctor Who ebook on or Audacity play on, bump, he's there. Yeah. And speaking of audio, let us move on to the albums, because we're up to 8:15 and we spent way too long on books. So my first choice on the albums is Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime.
Ooh.
Now, I wasn't really aware of the concept album. Yeah. Sorry, Audible. Audacity. Yeah, you're quite right. Paul. Audacity is the audio editor. Audible is the spoken book. Sorry. I'm cocking it up tonight, aren't I, boys? Right. I wasn't really aware of concept albums. I was a big fan of Marillion, but I didn't really consider them to be concept albums.
No.
So Operation Mindcrime was the first concept album I owned. And it was also the first album I ever bought as a student. So you're away from home for the first time, you're on your Todd, you find the local record store. And yes, there were some great record stores in Bonnie. But this was how I imagined a record store. This was a dusty, grubby little backstreet shop in Middlesbrough where everything was handwritten labels and you rock. Forget your categories. There was one row of rock. There was a row of sort of Indian punk, yeah? And then there was everything else. And you were lucky. So it was Headbangers heaven. It really was. There was everything from Deep Purple right through to the latest hair metal. Just superb. So that's why I picked that one. The next one, Wish You Were Here.
Awesome.
A for the track, Wish You Were Here. Well, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, didn't it? But
Wish You Were Here is a track.
Yeah, well, yeah. Wish You Were Here. Mainly because one of the first visits I ever made to the 21 Club at Stockton with my stepdaughter, we were both absolutely shit-faced. And we came back to the house and a friend of hers had bought her a CD player. And he'd also bought Dark Side and Wish You Were Here. And we just put the two discs on for the night and just talked and chatted and laughed and giggled and hugged. And it was just a magical night that I would happily return to.
Matt, I like Sorcerer's Soul, Full of Secrets.
And my last one, and I know I said I didn't consider Marillion albums to be concept ones. Misplaced Childhood.
Yeah.
I love. There's some shite tracks on it. Kaylee and Lavender should be consigned to the bin of history, in my opinion.
Dilly.
The last three tracks, Blind Curve, Childhood's End, and White Feather. And it's a suite. So there's actually like 5 songs in it. And it goes down and down and down until you get to Threshold and Perimeter Walk. And the tone changes. And Fish, it just, whether it's the way he sings it or the music or what, I don't know, but the combination, it just touches something. Because we've all been at that point where you're thinking, why the flaming hell am I doing this? Life was so much simpler as a kid. Yeah. And you're kicking yourself and you're just being so damn hard on yourself. And then you get that light bulb moment where it's like, whoa, you haven't changed. The way you're dealing with it's changed. It's still there. Just get on with it. Find that silver lining, that ray of sunshine. And for me, that's what those last 3 do. And it's an album I've played a lot recently, but those last 3 tracks just have come to mean so much. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Got a bit deep there.
Me next.
You next, please.
Right. This one's been mega hard for me. And I mean really, really hard for me. Everyone knows that I'm a mega Pink Floyd fan. So if I couldn't take the whole lot of the full collection of Pink Floyd, I'd be gutted. But these 3 albums that I've gone for are kind of really sums up me, really. And you think everyone's going to think, oh, it's heavy metal and all that. Like, it's not. My first album, one of my very first albums I ever bought was Hard Day's Night. So I'm a big Beatles fan. And since I'm only allowed to take 3 albums, I thought 1967 to 70, the Blue Album. I'm greedy because it's a double album. And I've got the cream of the Beatles back catalogue. So I thought I've got to have that one. I've just got to have it. My second choice is an album that really pulls my heartstrings, and it really does. I've been listening to this album constantly since its release back in, what was it, 86, 87, and it's Tubular Bells 2, not 1 but 2. Ooh. And Tubular Bells 2 does something to me, and it's that point where I get to Whitby. All the stress and anger and frustration of the day or whatever's gone off, as soon as I put that, it puts me in an instant happy place. It's my calming. If you need Mark to calm down, put on, it's not Tubular Bells 1, it's Tubular Bells 2. And it just instantly calms me down. That's my second album. My third album, really weird album, War of the Worlds.
Great album.
And this goes back, the first time I heard War of the Worlds was actually at school. And I got on really, really well with the music teacher because I was into music and all that kind of stuff. And he says, I want you to listen to this album. So one dinner time, he played the whole lot. And that triggered the neurons in my brain. And I just thought it was absolutely amazing. It was an amazing story, how it was all put together, the sound effects, everything. And it wasn't just that, it was the album itself with the book and the drawings and the diagrams of the actual tripods, and it just created this imagination in my brain about it, to the point that I was sort of like sketching tripods on my maths book and things like that. And I used to make balsa wood tripods and things like that. It just really envisaged that childhood imagination and really sort of like brought something to me. So yeah, that would be my third album.
Nice one. Now Bruce Young's just thrown some corkers in. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye?
Yeah, good one.
The White Album by the Beatles, another good choice. And Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera.
Ooh.
I just wasn't expecting that with the first two. Appetite for Destruction. These are Steve Blazing Vapes. War of the Worlds, Jeff Lynne. And Permanent Vacation, Aerosmith. Can't fault that last choice. That is a corker album. Timmy's got Sucker Punch, the soundtrack, Death of a Bachelor, and Monty Python and the album of the soundtrack for the trailer of the film of Monty Python and the Holy Grail songs.
Yep.
Another good choice. So, Levi's Not Let Me Down. Disturbed, 10,000 Fists, Macedon, Leviathan and Trivium, The Sin and the Sentence.
I wasn't a big fan of Trivium. I saw them live twice. They were hyped up to be the new Metallica. And they were not.
No.
Don't get me wrong, it was a good stage show, but I've kind of been off them over the years. But anyway, my turn.
Oh, yes, boss.
You guys out there in chat are going to think that this is all a setup, but it ain't. And this goes to show you how much the three of us have in common. The first one's a bit of a... It's not so much left field for the other two guys, but it's something you knew I was going to actually throw in here. It's the Mission Sum and Substance. It's the compilation album, just because it's the only one that I can take without taking them all, as Mark said, regarding the Beatles stuff. So yeah, that's one, that's my little guilty pleasure. The next one, Pink Floyd, Delicate Sound of Thunder.
Good choice.
Oh, good choice.
This album was introduced to me in, I think it was in 1999 by a friend's father while we were driving somewhere, and myself and my mate are sitting in the back of his father's Ford Granada with this blaring out of Ford factory speakers, and I was like, who the hell is this? He's like, it's Pink Floyd. I said, well, I remember Pink Floyd, obviously, Another Brick in the Wall when it came out, 79, 80, that kind of. I thought, that can't be the same band. This is not this. And we got home in my friend's house, and he says, I'll put the album on. He put the album on, he went, he says, that's it all the way through. And I went, wow. I was blown away with it.
Dogs at War and The Turning Away, I love them two tracks.
And then they released the video, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting, we watched, the three of us sat and watched this video, and I was sitting with my chin on the floor. I have never seen a stage show like that in my life. Don't get me wrong, I've seen Rammstein, and that's a totally different genre altogether. But the stage show that Floyd put on for that Delicate Sound of Thunder album, the live show, was absolutely fantastic. So that was album number 2. Album number 3, War of the Worlds.
Wow!
And I'm not joking. It's there. Look, oh God, you can't see it. It's actually there. I've written it all down, and I've written everything that I can remember about it. I can remember watching Top of the Pops around about 79, I think it was, Justin Hayward singing Forever Autumn.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I thought, that's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, oh, God, that's... it's just, I kept... Every time Top of the Pops come on, I was waiting to come back on. But I think he only sang it about 2 or 3 times on Top of the Pops. I can't remember. But I was like... I need to get the album, but I didn't know what album it came from, because I think I was only 11 at the time, something like that. And it wasn't until later on that I heard the full album, and Richard Burton's voice narrating it. The hairs in the back of my neck stood up, and I thought, you know what, this is absolutely amazing. I know some of the tracks on, like, side that album 2, as they called it, obviously because it came out as a double album. Like to the red weed and things like that, I was a bit but the first LP or LP1, this one, whatever you want to call it, was absolutely stunning. Phil Lynott singing as well.
Oh yeah. Do you know what always used to get me? That bit where dung 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 dung, and then you hear that returning dung dung.
Well, Jules and I went to see the stage show.
Oh yeah.
A couple of years back, and Herbie Flowers was actually on stage playing bass to that. You see, I think he was on the original. He was on the original album.
Yeah.
Herbie Flowers. Oh God, he must have been his. I don't know if he's still alive now. I really don't know. But at that time, it must have been his late 70s, early 80s, and he's just said the reverb on the bass, and it was absolutely bloody amazing. But yeah, so that's my album number 3. But if any of you guys are out there, if you like War of the Worlds, go and see the stage show. It's bloody phenomenal.
We've got it on Blu-ray, where they redid Richard Burton.
Yeah, it's a hologram.
It was a hologram.
They used the big face. Well, we saw that obviously the newer one. It was Liam Neeson did the narration of it, but it was still the music. There was just that in the atmosphere in the place, you know, with it. And then the Martian at the tripod comes down, and the lasers are shooting, and there's explosions here, there, and everywhere. And yeah, that was amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, so that's my 3 albums.
I mean,
Nice
Richard
one.
Burton, though. I mean, you've got to admit they couldn't have picked a better person to narrate it.
No, they couldn't.
No one would have believed.
In the last years of the 19th century.
That opening line, you're like, hook, line, and sinker.
Right, Graham's just thrown in his 3, which would be Floodland by the Sisters, Leveling the Land by the Levelers, which I've got to agree with, and Watermark by Enya, which is a surprise.
It's a lovely album, that.
That's a fantastic album.
Shane's
That
Gibson,
one, is it the Celts she did?
Yeah.
Something Shepherd, Blue Shepherd, was it?
don't know about
Shepherd
that.
Moon or something like that it is, I think.
Shane Gibson, his top 3 are the Beatles Mono Collection box set.
Nice one.
Black Sabbath Paranoid and Dream Theater 3 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Bunnies would be Pump by Aerosmith, Disturbed Believe, and Def Leppard's Hysteria.
Oh, talking about Def
cracking.
Leppard's Hysteria, they've just brought out their 30th anniversary of that one with a load of extra stuff. Wouldn't mind getting
Ooh.
hold of that.
Paul Anderson, anything Guns N' Roses, The Offspring for chilling. I know I'd agree with that as well. And Kevin Bloody Wilson, Just for Giggles. Good man. Blazing Vapes Ass at SoulOhm. What C6 Steve album would you take if you sneak a cheeky fourth album?
Oh, I've answered that one. It'd be Doghouse. Definitely.
Andy Summerfield agrees with you two on War of the Worlds, AC/DC Live, and Queen's Greatest Hits.
Queen's Greatest Hits, the first one. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, bless. And Timmy says, forgot about adding War of the Worlds to my iPod. Loved that as a kid.
Have you ever listened to Spartacus, the album he did, Spartacus, Jeff Wayne?
I haven't, no.
No. Is it worth it?
It's different. Put it this way, it's different. Catherine Zeta-Jones sings on it. By God, she's got a good voice. But yeah, the Spartacus album is pretty good.
Oh, nice one. I'll have to check that out. Right. Well, moving forward. Oh, Matt Chandler. I'm not missing that one out. Hawkwind, Motorhead, and the Ramones. Damn fine. And Lisbeth, I love you. As I've said many, many times with your taste in music. Japan, Quiet Life, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, and Hoobstank the Reason.
Ooh.
Yeah, Hoobastank. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, Hoobastank.
But the first two, God, yes. And I'm not arguing with that one Irish for once.
Definitely not.
Moving on to the films. So we have 3 film choices we can take with us. Mine seems to have gone a bit chick flick.
I wonder why.
No. So my first film is P.S. I Love You. I've said this many times on Tales from the Ohm. I have yet to find a film, having been through it, I've yet to find a film that taps into that raw anger and hurt when you lose somebody, through death that you love. And it's not this gentle sobbing into the pillow that a lot of Hollywood films do. This is curled up on the floor, rocking into a ball and getting messy. And she just brings that to life for me. And I really like the idea of the 10 notes from the husband who knows he's dying and knows his wife so well that he helps her out. It just touches me. It really touches me, that.
That's why I'm laughing at as well, Mark.
What?
If it's not in there, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I know.
What, 50 Shades?
Steve with his red room.
We'll see. The next one, another gentler romantic comedy. But one of the gentlemen in this very room introduced me to this film, and for that I will thank him profusely. And Stevie knows it's not him.
I'm starting to panic.
About Time. I'd seen bits, but I'd not actually sat and watched it all. And then Mark told me how good this film was. And I loved the film.
I thought that was me there to check the seat.
Swamp ass. And I watched it all the way through rather than bitting and bobbing. I hate Harley. And there's a scene at the end of the film. The premise is that the males within this family can travel back in time. They can't travel outside their own lifetime, but they can travel back. And what follows is bloody funny, especially
it's a lovely film.
The bits where he's trying to impress his wife to be are just some of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That sex scene, the sex scene is brilliant.
There is nothing salacious about it whatsoever, but it's one of the
No.
funniest things I've seen in ages. But there's
Especially
a scene
the bra.
Oh God, don't!
Oh, that's brilliant. Honestly, it's supposed to be. He thinks it's a. You undo it from the back. It's not. It's a front one.
It's just bloody brilliant. And there's a scene at the end. I won't go into too much because it would spoil the end of the film. But there's a scene where he goes back to being a kid with his dad on the beach. I was blubbing. Blubbing as you would not believe at this point. To the point where I got through half a box of tissues. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I thoroughly enjoyed that film.
Wouldn't be the first time you get through half a box of tissues.
Come on!
That'd be watching a different kind of film, though.
I'm trying to be sensible here.
Right.
And my last film is The Prophecy.
What, the original?
The original. With Richard Watt. Yep.
I love. There was just that one bit in it. That film really. I don't know why it touched me, but it really did. He turns around. You know, you've got a little dimple there in your lip, and he goes, that was me when I went. Shh. And I thought that was whoa. Just thought. Plus, it was Christopher Walker.
Oh God, yeah.
I love that bloke. He is as scary as fuck, but I love that bloke.
He must be, because that's the first time I've ever heard him drop the F-bomb on the show.
There's something about that bloke. I tell you, I know it's really cutting it fine. True Romance, where Christopher Walker is with Christian Slater's dad.
Yeah.
That scene, whoa, is just mind-blowing. I'm just going to leave that one there. Sorry, carry on, Ben.
No, that's me. That's me done. So, who's up? It's yours.
It's me. Right, my 3 films. I think everybody knows my first film's going to be Hellraiser. I can't help it. It was just an epic film. Love it to pieces. Really created my mind juices and everything. I really love the concept of it. Even though it was a B movie, the special effects now are looking very, very dated. I just loved the actual story behind it. That's that one. The next 2 are a bit more personal for me. The first one is Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Now you think to yourselves, well, how can that be a bit personal? Well, when I was little, and I'm on about knee-height to a grasshopper, it was one of my mum's favourite films, and she would sneak upstairs if it was on television late at night, and she'd wake me up and we'd sit together and watch it. And that's why it's just one of those. It was just me and my mum, and that were it. There was nobody else. There wasn't my little brother, there wasn't my sister, there wasn't my dad. It was just me and my mum, you know, me and my mum time. And every time that I've got it at home now, I put it on and I automatically straight away think of my mum and me when it was just that 1-to-1, just me and my mum time. And yeah, I mean, I miss my mum terribly. And yeah, anyway, I'm not blubbering. The next film is, again, another more emotional film, not because just of the film. And it's Stand By Me. And kind of, it's me and my brother's film. We used to go down to the local video store. Me and him, Aiden's 8, if you don't know, Aiden's 8 years younger than me. So I used to have to trail along this little 5-year-old and 6-year-old to travel with me. And it was one of the big films that we used to watch all the time. So that's that one. Just reminds me of me and my little brother, little bro vapes.
That was a brilliant movie. That must stand by.
I loved it. There was, I think there was, especially lads. We were mates in your 6-week holidays, and you would go off and you'd know these different characters, and I loved how it was done more of a story of remembrance than an actual just a film. And I
Stephen
look,
King, wasn't it? Stephen
Yeah.
King wrote that.
yeah,
I mean, it's amazing how he can write such good dramas, but some of his horror stuff's absolutely pants.
yeah,
My turn.
yeah. It's your
Oh
turn.
yes.
Okay, I'll kind of roll through this quickly because it's time's pushing on. Aliens, my first movie.
Ooh.
I was too young to go and see the original Alien. Then when I heard they were making a sequel, I went, "What do you want? I need to go and see this." And I can remember watching the trailers in the cinema, and I was like, "Wow, this I definitely need to go and see." It's got everything in it. It's got space, monsters, guns, Ripley shooting shit and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. The only thing I found kind of disappointing about it was I had a friend of mine. I still work with him to this day. He went to see. He was on holiday in America at the time when this film was released, and he went to see it in the cinema, surrounded by God knows how many hundreds of Americans. And he said the atmosphere in the place was unbelievable. He says they're up in the seats, they're shouting and hollering. And every time a xenomorph was killed, they were up screaming and shouting, "Yeah, yo, go get in, they'll kick his ass," and all this kind of stuff. I would have loved that to happen when I went to see Aliens in the movie in the cinema in the UK. I thought that would have been the icing on the cake, you know, just that energy from the audience. But anyway, it's I think the UK were a little bit more subdued. Second movie, I've actually just changed this because it just came to me right there and then while Matt was mentioning I like to Stand By Me. It was a film called The Seventh Sign, starring, it was Demi Moore, it was Demi Moore, Michael Biehn, Jürgen Prochnow. It was kind of an apocalyptic, kind of biblical style movie. Where basically she's pregnant, but she's carrying the kind of last child on Earth, kind of thing. And Jürgen Prochnow is he's kind of like death, and he keeps breaking all these seals. And every time he breaks a seal, one of the great plagues for the Bible happens. It's set kind of in a modern day. It was the film I think was out in the late 80s. And as it turns out, Prochnow was actually, reading between the lines, he was like one of Christ's whatever, and he was killed. But Demi Moore's pregnant in the movie at the time, and she sacrifices herself because there's no more souls left in heaven, and she sacrifices herself for her son to live, basically refilling heaven with souls so more children could be born. And it just hit me. I was like, you know what, it's such an obscure movie that not a lot of people have actually seen it, but it's just one of those ones that kind of plucked at your heartstrings, the sacrifice a mother will make for a child kind of thing. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely a brilliant movie. My last one, Jaws.
Really?
Yeah.
Shock.
It's one of the only times I can actually remember when my mother and father took me to the cinema. I didn't have a great childhood growing up myself. My sister that's going into something else, and it's not the time to talk about it. But anyway, yeah, my mum and dad took me to see Jaws in the ABC cinema in Sauchiehall Hall Street in Glasgow. And yeah, we're sitting down, the three of us were sitting in the middle of the cinema, and I had the bag of popcorn and stuff, and we're like, I'm so excited because can you remember at the time around about the late 70s, it's when Ron and Val Taylor, can you remember them? There was a lot of the underwater cinematography and all that kind of stuff, and they swam with sharks. I love watching all those programs. So anyhow, sitting in the middle of the cinema, and Hooper and Chief Brody are out in the boat in the middle of the night, and they come across the fisherman's boat abandoned. You know what's coming next, don't you? So Hooper's in the water, yeah. Hooper's in the boat, and he's trying to dig the shark's tooth out of the boat, and the head appears. Well, I'll tell you, my mother and I ended up 3 rows back. and the bag of popcorn went off like Old Faithful at Yellowstone Park, or Yosemite Park, whatever the hell you want to call it. It went woof, straight up in the air. So that frightened the shit out of me. And it still does to this day, because you know it's coming. You know it's there. But you're still like, no, I know it's coming. No, yeah, oh. But yeah, that was that. But Jesus, that frightened the crap out of me. So watched after that bit, I was terrified. I was like, no, I can't watch the rest of this film. Bearing in mind, I was about 9 or 10 when this movie came out. So we left the cinema. So the movie finished. Obviously, I was great. You know, they survived, kind of thing. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, great. They swam away. The shark's dead. So we're walking down. We're going to get the bus back home. My dad said to me, "Fancy a fish supper?" And I'm honestly, I'm like, I'm not want to eat another fish in my life, Dad. Well, he pissed himself laughing all the way home, and it was something that will always stick in my head was my dad's maniacal laughter. When I said, I don't want to see another fish in my life. It was just his timing was spot on. What a fish. Yeah, so that's my 3.
Some great films in there. Now we've got some great ones in chat as well. We've got Bunny. She says The Crow, Black Dog, and Next of Kin.
Next of Kin was a brilliant film.
Awesome film. Gav Evans, Aliens director's cut in any 2 Star Wars from the first ones. Chump, Princess Bride. I love that film.
I love Princess Bride.
What a film. There's a shortage of perfect breasts in the world. It would be a shame to damage yours. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Another good one.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I love that too. So Lisbeth says, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, The Breakfast Club, which I loved, and Cinderella.
Wella.
Now I'm guessing. Now Jules is Beaches.
Oh, Beaches is a brilliant film.
Calamity Jane, because it always makes a laugh. And lastly, Queen, which is a mixed race girl born back in the days of slavery. Cracking but tearful film. Bill Richards' The Crow, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Guest House Paradiso.
Oh, do you know something? I didn't like the film. I liked the TV series of Hitchhikers, but I didn't like the film.
I loved the film.
I didn't like the film either. I switched off, especially when Marvin the Paranoid Android.
Yeah, he was just... Yeah.
Yeah, but it was Alan Rickman.
Yeah, but he just lost it for me. I think this TV series was way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Mm.
And the Galactic Gargle Blasters.
Because you've got to remember, it was very Red Dwarfy the way that it was filmed. As well. So it had that 80s niche bit. Whereas when they tried to reboot it to make the film, I just thought they just lost that quirkiness about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That almost English or British humour. I think they kind of lost it.
Yeah, there was a bit of Hollywood shine on it, whereas the original TV series had that sort of radio series ethos to it.
Yeah, it did. It was very similar to the radio show.
Timmy's surprise, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and Meaning of Life, as if his list was ever in question.
Ever question.
Bless him. Liam Dovey. Welcome, Liam. I don't think I've seen Liam's name in before.
Well, give him a fist bump then. Fist bump, Liam.
True Romance is his favourite film.
I love True Romance. It's an awesome film, that.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, Andy says again, that scene between Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken.
One film that I haven't... Sorry, no, I'm going to name 2 films. One's a kind of a chick flick, but not quite a chick flick, and that's Almost Famous.
Good film.
Love that film. And the other one from my childhood is Escape from New York.
Oh, Snake Plissken.
Yeah, I loved that as a kid.
I thought you'd be taller.
I
heard you were dead. He was just a typical anti-hero, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he was brilliant.
Yeah.
I also thought, right at the beginning where it tells you about how they created New York to be this prison and where all the borders are and all, that, I don't know why, that really twigged my imagination, that. That little spark of imagination that you get when you watch a film. That beginning part I found so fascinating. that they could create a whole prison just in one city.
Yeah, I think John Carpenter movies are so underrated. It's unbelievable.
Oh, They Live. Love that film.
Oh, the one with Roddy Yates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half the thing about the Carpenter films is that electronic soundtrack that goes with it.
Yeah, and he composes and plays
He composes.
Oh,
plays
God,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill Richards' Mask of True Bikers. Tearful music, it had it all.
Yeah. Mask was absolutely brilliant. That's the one we share, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lad that had was it Lyme's disease?
Yeah.
That is
where he's
awesome.
disfigured.
Yeah, he's absolutely awesome.
Now, Gailey's choices, I've got to mention these because there's some great films. Out of Africa, so Robert Redford, one of his best. Godfather Part 2, which I still think is the best film out of the trio. And The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook is brilliant.
Oh, what a film.
Oh, I blubbed my eyes out with that.
Never seen it.
Well worth it. Really is, honestly, absolutely brilliant film.
I defy anybody to watch that with a dry eye. It really is good.
Blazing Vape, Shawshank Redemption, yet another.
I love that one. In fact, we only watched it about 2 days ago. Love that film to pieces.
Now, John Carpenter's Vampires, that is the ultimate badass film. There is something about that film, especially the bit where he makes the wood joke to the priest.
It's when they're all in the bedroom in the motel and it just becomes into a total bloody bloodbath.
Yeah, but at least you get some gratuitous booby shots before it happens.
I mean, John Carpenter's it's Big Trouble in Little China. One of my all-time favourite movies.
Yeah.
It didn't make my list. I think it's an absolutely fantastic movie.
Leviathan. I am amazed, mate. He's watched The Notebook twice and not even cracked a little manly tear.
Wow.
Elizabeth says Marley and Me makes me cry the most of any film.
Oh, is that the one with the dog?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a tearjerker because it's based on a true story, that. Is it someone in China? Originally, it was in China, wasn't it?
I mean, Shane Gibson's choices, some great stuff there. Schindler's List, Brief Encounter, and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. The Boy in the
Striped Pajamas. Oh, that is, yeah. Oof. Right, guys, we're coming up to 5-2.
We bet. Right.
There you go, wiggle on.
Are we ready to floof, Vic?
Yeah.
Floof.
I hope he's smiling. Oh, the champ. Oh. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I love that film, Lock, Stock.
Oh, Lock, Stock. I'd rather the other one. Snatch. I think Snatch is the better film. But I like Rock and Roller as well.
Oh, I love Rock and Roller. It's hard to pick one of those out of the three as the best sort of Guy Ritchie. But
I don't know. Do you want to buy a caravan?
Periwinkle Blue. For me, ma.
Do you know the meaning of Nemesis? I love that film.
Oh, bless. Of course, Vic is smiling by the looks of what your hands were doing. You were tickling his balls, for fuck's sakes.
Ooh, go from above.
Right. We better wrap it, boys.
We better.
Yeah.
Chat. Stevie, Mark, thank you so much. After funds the stories behind the stuff, and you've provided some crackers tonight. I actually got a bit choked up with you two, you buggers. Doesn't happen very often. Chat, thank you again. apart from Irish, you can blow me. But again, yes. Wait till Jenny finds out.
Guys, we've got to give
you've been
Huggles
wonderful.
to Elizabeth's daughter. She's just qualified as a nurse. Huggles!
Oh, brilliant, Huggles!
Way-
Congratulations.
Big congratulations.
Kat, sorry about that. We don't normally sink to those levels, and I do apologise, and congratulations. That's a hell of a career you picked.
Yeah, well done. My turn.
Yeah, it's
Your
your turn.
turn.
Chat, thank you so much again for joining us. These shows are absolutely fantastic. It's an eye opener for me personally. Listening to you two guys talk about your passions with music, books, films, that kind of stuff, and it's also the passion that Chat have. Some of the films and the books, the albums that's come out here, I've never heard of them before, but I certainly will look at them, check them out. So yeah, Chat, thank you so much for joining us, and to you two guys, love you lots, and catch us again next week, folks.
Over to me then.
Gaffer.
Oh yes.
Stevie, Betty, because we're calling him Betty now, because we've got Stevie and Betty. Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you so much for an awesome show. Yeah, it got me a bit emotional when I realised about the films that I would take to a desert island. And I tell you one thing, I know it sounds really corny, but if I had to take two people to a desert island, I'd be taking you two.
Oh.
Just thought I'd let you know that one. Get me there, you know.
Yeah,
Just there.
Hold on. Is there a copy of the Cannibal Cookbook coming as well?
Yeah, true, yeah. Chat, you have been absolutely fantastic, as you always are. Big thank you to you, because you do make the show, and there's been some awesome comments, suggestions, films, music and books that have been mentioned in the chat that I'm going to have to look at as well. Spanners, thank you for looking after Chat. You have been amazing. So we're going to wrap this one up because Vic and the gang are going to be on very, very shortly. So from me, Stevie and Betty, we will see you all next week, and thank you. So bye!
Bye!
Outro!
Hashtag Desert Island Dicks.
Irish's comment. Who would you eat first, and why would it be BFG? Also, blow me, BFG.
Bye.